Webinar. Get started. Yes, namaste and welcome everyone for today's webinar on decoding the 6 pillars of Hindu philosophy. I'm going to take a deep dive into the Shad Darshanas. So before I give a background on our webinar, love to see our audience share with us in the chat where you're zooming in from. John Palka, glad to have you on. I know you've been looking forward for this webinar. Yes, wonderful to have you on. Rev from Los Osos, Bob from Sandy Springs in Georgia, Setuji from Chennai, India, welcome. Pramod Ramdasi from Princeton Junction, New Jersey, Ganesh from Miami, Justin from Krakow, Poland. Glad to have you on, Justin, a regular. PL from Florida, Ashish from Waukesha, Devi from Coimbatore, Ryan from Los Angeles, Lucy from Dubai, Vijay Khan, a friend of HUA from Houston. Glad to have all of you with us today. Ashish from Los Angeles, I got the little poll going. If this is your first webinar, if you've attended before, if you've taken a class at HUA, just some background, I'll share that in a little bit. But now let me introduce our topic for today. We're going to be talking about the Shad Darshanas, really the 6 pillars of Hindu philosophy. And so we're going to start to discover the profound wisdom of Shad Darshanas, the 6 foundational schools of Hindu philosophy that have shaped spiritual and intellectual thought for millennia. This webinar with Dr. Kalika Uttarkar is going to explore the core principles of Nyaya, logic, Vaisheshika, atomism, Sankhya, dualism, yoga, the meditative discipline, Mimamsa, ritual interpretation, and Vedanta, ultimate reality, unveiling their timeless relevance in today's world. We'll talk about how they're connected and how they have different aspects in or manifest differently within the Hindu tradition. So we're going to examine the unique perspectives of each of these darshanas and their interconnectedness, uncover how these philosophies address life's biggest questions on existence, knowledge, and moksha, liberation. I'm going to discuss practical applications for mindfulness, self-inquiry, ethical living in the modern age. We'll take your questions. You can put them in the Q&A box. We'll take them after Dr. Uttarkar gives her presentation. And whether you're a student of philosophy, a spiritual seeker, or simply curious about Hindu thought, this session will provide deep insights and transformative wisdom from India's ancient intellectual traditions. We are glad to have all of you with us today for the webinar. Yes. And now our faculty, Dr. Kalika Uttarkar, is going to be taking us through this. Let me introduce her briefly. She's a faculty at HUA, both in the graduate division and the community education division. Dr. Uttarkar is a distinguished scholar who holds both MA and PhD degrees in philosophy from the University of Pune. Additionally, she has earned a master's in psychotherapy and counseling. With over 25 years of experience, Dr. Kalika has made significant contributions to the fields of philosophy, yoga, and mental health. She's currently based in Dallas. Dr. Kalika wears multiple hats as a yoga and psychological counselor, motivational speaker, and she's the creator of a YouTube channel dedicated to parenting, relationships, and self-help. She's conducted life skills for corporate training, workshops on yoga, and mental health sessions. Dr. Kalika's academic pursuits include presenting papers on yoga, Bhagavad Gita, and Upanishads at various national and international seminars. Her passion project, her doctoral thesis, focused on the philosophy of life with reference to the major 11 Upanishads. She actively explores the intersection of Indian philosophy, yoga, and psychology to discern its relevance in contemporary human life. And she is a wonderful faculty member at Hindu University of America, teaching several courses, leading different initiatives like our Bhagavad Gita Pariksha, again, bringing these different ideas into contemporary times and applying it to the family. So with that, let me hand it to Dr. Uttarkar to get us going. Glad to have you, Kalika ji.
Thank you. Thank you, Ankurji, for that generous introduction. I would just introduce myself as a student of philosophy. and student of spirituality. And that is an ongoing process, it's an ongoing journey. So today I'm here to invite you all in this journey of knowing, of understanding, of knowledge, of the quest. And therefore, let us begin with a very beautiful shlok from Upanishads. Om Asato Ma Satgamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityurma Amrutam Gamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Welcome to all, and on this very pleasant morning. And the topic is very close to my heart because this is something which gives us an introduction of who we are and what is the goal of our life. So, two major questions. Now, I have been taking webinars on Shad Darshan for long now. So, today I thought, why not open this webinar with a question that why Shad Darshan? Why philosophy? Why Shad Darshan? Is a major question because we come across Hinduism and we look into its different aspects. If you are a born Hindu, then you are born with the cultural um, ecosystem that you are in. So we participate in various festivities. We have so many rituals going on in around our house, and there is a community, and then the whole, Hinduism is something which we are immersed into. Nonetheless, for past 100 years, the kind of civilizational turns and twists are happening. I see that there is still something which is very important and that is missing. And that is, we have so many questions in our mind. Why am I doing this ritual? Why this festivity? Why so many gods? And for all those friends who are not Hindus, similarly, they also come across Hinduism into bits and pieces. Like these days, we say that Yoga International Day. So then we come across, okay, yoga belongs to Hinduism, or does it not belong to Hinduism? Is it part of Hindu religion or is it not? Such questions will be there. Then what is it that exactly Hindus believe in? Whether they believe in one god or they believe in many gods. I mean, what is their understanding? So there are so many questions both in the minds of people who are born Hindus and who are not born Hindus but who are curious, who want to know, who want to understand. So today's webinar is for all those open-minded souls who have that urge to know more, the quest to understand ourselves. So why Shad Darshana? Shad Darshan gives an answer is to understand ourselves better, to understand Hinduism better. Now, let us imagine a tree which has many branches, leaves, and then so many fruits are there. It looks so beautiful. And we keep adoring it. We keep understanding it and enjoying it, sitting beneath it and enjoying the shadow. And younger kids would like to climb. I remember in my childhood days, we used to climb trees. These days, it has become very difficult for kids even to come outside the house and play. But I remember those days and I cherish that we used to play and we used to climb trees, from one branch to the another like monkeys. So that was something which we enjoyed. Now, the same tree is like Hinduism. We enjoy Hinduism, we are part of it, but we don't know its roots. And these roots are its philosophy. And this is something which needs to be transferred to the new generation. It has to be understood by the present generation. And that helps us to become more confident and with a robust pride, understand who we are and from where we belong. So, to understanding philosophy can begin with the knowledge of Shad Darshan. Somebody will say that no, I have studied Bhagavad Gita, I have some understanding of Upanishads. Isn't that sufficient? That is very good, and it is always good to begin the study of Hinduism with Bhagavad Gita. But understanding Shad Darshana opens a plethora of intelligent thoughts in front of us. And we realize that our civilization is not a dogmatic civilization. It is not a civilization based on certain imagination or superstitions, but it has a firm foundation of philosophical inquiry. So, when we talk about philosophical inquiry, it has to have a perfect methodology. It has to be rigorous, it has to be logical, it has to be open, it has to be undogmatic. Now, all these characteristics also are applicable to scientific methodology. We all say that we are a generation who does scientific thinking. We believe in science. So, what are the parameters and the characteristics of scientific methodology? It has to be logical, it has to be rigorous, it has to have proof. Okay, so all this rigor is also applied to the Shad Darshanas. And the Shad Darshanas, you will see that they are schools of Hindu philosophy who come up with its utmost rigor, logical rigor, deep thinking. It has its own perspective, vision, and therefore we call it Darshana. Darshana comes from the Sanskrit word drusha, ana. So together, Darshana, that is viewing, seeing. Now, seeing has a different meaning altogether when it comes to the Hindu lens. Seeing is not just observing through the empirical sense organs, but it goes beyond that. And that takes us to the different sources of knowledge. So, perception is one source of knowledge, logic is another source of knowledge. Then comes intuition. And this, therefore, Darshana Shastra is also called as Pramana Shastra. So we have various pramanas, sources of knowledge. So what are these sources of knowledge? Each school will have its own understanding of this pramanas. So it is also called as Pramana Shastra. It talks about metaphysics. What is creation? What is existence? Where from I come? This is called as metaphysics in the Western structure. It is called as Satta Shastra in the Indian context. Then, very importantly, is Niti Shastra or ethics as it is called. Why morality? See, everybody tells us do this, don't do this, this is right, this is wrong. But the question why is very important. And this discussion is very elaborate in our scriptures from the Ved, Upanishad, Shruti Grantha, Smriti Grantha. So there is a huge tradition of this. And then, very beautifully, Sanatan Dharma or Hinduism comes forward in telling us the perspectives of the question why and how. It is not a selection of certain do's and don'ts. It doesn't tell us do this, don't do this is right, this is wrong, follow this. No, it's not that. You are free to ask questions and understand why. Be truthful. We allow that, isn't it? Our kids, they have this freedom to ask why I should be moral. What purpose will it solve if I'm moral, and why, if what happens if I'm not moral? The whole concept of dharma comes in here. Dharma is duty, understanding why I am born, what is my duty, and why should I fulfill, and what will I achieve. So, the very important concept of dharma, karma. What is a karma? These days, youngsters often keep saying when something bad happens, they say, oh, this is karma. But that is a very limited understanding of karma. Karma is all good and bad, and it is my. It develops a sense of authenticity, a sense of integrity, as when I do something, when I act, it is my responsibility. So every action comes with an effect, every action comes with a consequence. And so when I think, that also becomes my action. When I feel and I act accordingly, that is my action. So it goes from very practical to the subtler level. So, what is karma? What is existence? What is Atman? What is Brahman? All these concepts are discussed by this six different schools of Hindu philosophy from a different perspective. And therefore, when we study Shat Darshana, what happens is we help ourselves and the new generation to reclaim the intellectual identity. Our intellectual identity does not begin after we were colonized and after we were exposed to the scientific development happening in the Western world. We had lot of intelligent people prior to that also. There was a very rich civilization which existed, and they also had similar questions, and they had their own methodology of understanding and unrevealing the truth. So that is reclaiming ourselves as an individual, as a community, as a nation, as a civilization. It's a big thing, and if we are making a start in this, this is such a beautiful thing. Secondly, what happens is for the new generation, they need to have a framework wherein they can understand what is Hinduism. And the proper framework is provided by the philosophical understanding. And only then they can continue to practice Hinduism and not get alienated. And therefore, they should get a proper framework as to what are the answers to these questions. And if I come from a civilization, a culture where all these questions are openly discussed, then that builds in confidence, that builds in pride, and then they are very much equipped to handle the distortion that are happening about Hinduism, when wrong things are spoken about Hinduism, when there are misconceptions about Hinduism, in a very robust way and in a very academic way, very intelligently, without unnecessarily getting emotional. They can have this dialogue, they can have this discussion, and therefore studying Shad Darshan becomes very important. And then we all are spiritual beings. Someday or the other, we always feel that I should understand what happens after death. Is that the end of life? Now, that is the only consistent end that we see of the life. So, you could be a richest of the rich person, you could be the poorest of the poor, you could be anybody, Tom, Dick, and Harry, anybody. Everybody has to die. What is death? Is it the end of everything? Or is it just a pause button? To understand this, to walk the path of spirituality, philosophical foundation really helps. Not just blindly believing in somebody and say that, okay, this person will take me through this journey. That really doesn't help in a long journey. It may help for 5, 10 years, but not further. The initial inner doubt of and the questions, they need to be clarified. And so this philosophical journey begins with Shad Darshan. Secondly, we have to understand that we have this pluralistic and debating spirit in Hinduism. So there are multiple sampradayas, multiple ways of praying, multiple ways of understanding the Ishvara. Then different concepts of Ishvara are there, and still everybody is living in harmony. So is this rooted just into the very, simple concept that we say it's unity in diversity? What is this unity? Unity is not necessarily always 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1. Unity can be understood as oneness, not about multiple things getting together and living together. Is that the strength of Indian society? I don't think so. Because unless and until there is this inert understanding of oneness, that we all are one, we are not many who come together and then form a composite structure. Within ourselves, we all are one. We belong to one single reality. This thought is common all over India, from the south to north, from the east to west. And this strength binds the country together. And whenever there are efforts to break this belief, there are problems in the society, there are problems with the nation. So, we as citizens of India, or culturally from India, or anyway connected to India, we must really understand what is this philosophical strength, philosophical background, and Shad Darshanas will help us about this. And then it is not about understanding the past, but it is about the present, creating the present which will take care of the future. So there were some scholars, there were some rishis who thought about these things, and they came up with amazing intelligence and this whole structure of knowledge. What about present? Our new generation, when they are so well equipped with the scientific understanding, now they are going into AI, so many things are happening. They also need to be equipped with the ancient philosophy so that together they can come up with new understanding, with newer ways to explore reality. So, this process of knowledge, this churning of knowledge should continue. And therefore, learning Shad Darshan becomes very significant at this point. Now, in this particular course, we would not just be studying the six schools of Hindu philosophy. We would also be studying Charvak Darshan. We would also study Buddhism and also Jainism. So, in all, we will be studying the nine schools of Hindu philosophy. And first three schools are considered to be Nastik Darshana or heterodox. Now, Nastik doesn't mean that they believe in God or they don't believe in God. No. The whole structure starts with believing in Ved or not believing in Ved. So, these three schools do not consider Ved as their ultimate authority, whereas the other six schools, which are called as Astik Darshana or orthodox schools of philosophy, they believe in Vedas as their ultimate authority. These are Nyaya, Vaisheshika, Sankhya, Yoga, Mimamsa, and Uttar Mimamsa or Vedanta. So, in all, we will be studying about nine schools of philosophy. Now, briefly, I think let me take an overview of all these schools of philosophy. So, I would like to share slides, and I think that should uh, just give me a second. So, these are the six schools of philosophy: Sankhya, Vedanta, Vaisheshika, Yoga, Purva Mimamsa, Nyaya. And as discussed, a simple question which often comes is, are these darshanas contradictory to each other? No, they are not sectarian discussions, but they complement each other, they supplement each other. And you will see that how human beings can take different perspectives and understanding about the reality. And that way, learning them, understanding them is like creating a mosaic of thoughts where each school has its own place. And all, when placed properly, they create a beautiful structure, a beautiful picture of understanding reality. So they are different paths to understand reality and they supplement each other. They are very complementary. Then are these philosophical systems sequential? Now there is often a discussion going on about the timeline of all these schools. So there is a different study altogether which will focus on the different timelines of these schools. But philosophically, I would say that it is impossible that in a particular period of time only Sankhya existed or only Nyaya existed. It is not so. You will find the roots of all these darshanas in the Upanishads. Upanishads are part of Ved. So we have four Ved: Rigved, Yajurved, Samaved, and Atharva Ved. Now, these Ved are further, they have four segments. That is, and Upanishads are the fourth segment. So, Upanishad is the philosophical aspect. So, Brahmana, Samhita, Aranyaka, and Upanishad are the four segments of Ved. And Upanishads are the Vedanta. So, that is the fourth part, that is the philosophical aspect. So, this aspect will have the seeds of most of the schools which are developed later on, which are structured by different rishis and created as a system. Like Patanjali created the system of yoga. Patanjali's Yoga Sutra are very well known. But that doesn't mean Patanjali was the first rishi. We will see references to Yoga Darshan even in Shvetashvatar Upanishad, even in Kathopanishad, even in Chandogya Upanishad. So the roots are there. Same when we say Gautam Rishi, constructed Nyaya Darshan. Uh, it is an amazing darshan which has been structured and which has been created. It forms the structure of most of the other schools also. But we do find its roots back in the Upanishads. Same about Sankhya Darshan. Kapil Muni is the one who started Sankhya Darshan, but Sankhya Darshan is also a very old darshan. So let us see in detail how each darshan is uh, significant. Let us start with Nyaya Darshan. So the founder of Nyaya Darshan is Rishi Gautama. It has 528 sutras, and the primary cause of starting the study is removal of ignorance and suffering. Now this is common to all the darshanas. Okay, then inference is a major source of knowledge according to Nyaya Darshana. So basically, it is a study of logic. It is study about how to make sentences, how to make judgments, how to um, follow a structure of knowing something. What are different sources of knowledge, different pramanas? So pratyaksha, anumana, upamana, and shabda. These are the pramanas for the Nyaya Darshana. So we'll go deeper into understanding what are these and how will they affect our life today. So when we say that human beings are logical, I would just make a little twist in saying that human beings are capable of logic. They are capable of rational thinking. That doesn't mean that we are always rational. We are also emotional beings. We are also physical beings. So, all put together, if we have to have this logical mindset, then we need some regimentation, some understanding, knowledge, and understanding the structure, how we think, how we can speak. This is helped by the Nyaya Darshana. Vaisheshik Darshana, Sankhya Darshana. Okay, so this is a very beautiful darshana. The founder is Kapila Muni. Sankhya Sutras consist of 526 sutras. Sankhya Karika by Ishwar Krishna is the commentary which is available. Now, the major concepts are Purusha, Prakriti, and Triguna. Such beautiful concepts, you will see that these concepts have traveled in most of the sampradayas of Hinduism. The concept of Purusha as the witness, as the conscious element which sees everything but doesn't participate, and Prakriti as Shakti, Prakriti as the dynamism of this world, Prakriti as the creation of this world, and what is their interrelations. Very beautifully, Sankhya Darshan brings it. And then Trigunas is an amazing concept which lays the foundation of Hindu psychology. Everything is divided into sattva, rajasa, and tamasa. So, understanding what is sattva, what is rajasa, what is tamasa, and what is the balance of all three, this is taken forward in the Yoga Darshana. Yoga Chitta Vritti Nirodha, it says. So, how to maintain this balance, how to understand different personalities is about Yoga Darshan. Vaisheshik Darshan, Rishi Kanar is the founder. There are 374 sutras. Padarthavad is their main theory. The world is divided into atoms. Paramanu, classified as material or Padartha. So they accept God as the supreme intelligent being. Nyayikas also accept Ishwar, God. Yoga Darshan accepts, but Sankhya they do not accept Ishwara. Mimamsakas do not accept Ishwara. So that is interesting. We will study that deep as we start our classes. Coming back to Yoga Darshana. So these days, people often talk, I'm doing yoga, I'm doing yoga. So ask them, what are you exactly doing? Is it just limited to certain postures and few breathing exercises? Nowadays, people don't even call it as pranayam. They say breathing techniques. So, yoga is not about breathing techniques. It is not just about certain postures. It is eightfold. Yama, Niyama, Asana, Pranayam, Pratyahar, Dharana, Dhyan, and Samadhi. These are the 8 steps of Yoga Darshana. And they each have their own definition and how it has to be achieved. So it is a life journey. And they also have a unique concept of Ishvara. They define Ishvara as Gurunam Guru, the teacher of the teacher. So think about this. Who is the teacher of the teacher? And that is Ishvara. So very beautiful concept. Then coming to Mimamsa, Rishi Jaimini is the founder of Mimamsa Darshana. It has 2500 sutras. For them, this world is real. They are realistic philosophers, okay? There is a soul which survives the death of the body and enjoys the fruits of karma in heaven. Now, what is heaven? What is karma? These are interesting topics to be discussed. And then rituals are considered to be very significant as they are significant portion of Ved. So, what is the relevance of these rituals? Like, culturally, we keep following certain rituals, but what is their meaning? And Mimamsakas also deal with a very delicate and rigorous logic. Kumar El Bhatta is one of the very prominent scholar of Mimamsa, and they talk about hermeneutics, linguistics, logic. It's a very rigorous darshana. So let us also understand what is their philosophy. For them, Ved is the ultimate authority of knowledge. And then coming to Vedanta, most of you are inclined towards understanding Vedanta. So normally we think Vedanta is Shankaracharya, Brahma Satyam Jagan Mithya. That is the one third part of Vedanta. So to understand Vedanta, we have to understand the Prasthanatrayi. Prasthanatrayi is Upanishads, Brahma Sutra, and Bhagavad Gita. So you know that Bhagavad Gita is part of Mahabharata, written by Veda Vyasa. So Bhagavad Gita is the gist of Upanishads, and it is very nice to begin our journey with. But doesn't stop there. Then comes Brahma Sutra by Rishi Badrayana. So they are small sutras, they come in that form, very crisp but very intense. And they, in a way, interpret Upanishads. So that is also to be understood in Vedanta. I will see what is the nature of Brahma Sutra. We'll try to understand few things. And then Upanishads. So, what is the philosophy of Upanishad? All this put together, there were three important scholars: Shankaracharya, Ramanujacharya, and Madhvacharya. So, if somebody has to be called as Acharya, they had to write a commentary on all these three: Upanishads, Brahma Sutra, and Bhagavad Gita. And their commentary came up with highlighting certain things. So Shankaracharya, when he wrote his commentary, he said Brahma Satyam Jagan Mithya. So he's the Advaita Vedanta aspect of Vedanta. So only single reality, Brahman, exists. Rest is Mithya. So we will try to understand what is the real meaning of Mithya. Is it that it doesn't exist, or it is a certain type of what you can say, you know, kind of existence? What it is exactly, that is the whole discussion when we talk about Advaita Vedanta and how its implications have come into different sampradayas and how people understand it and what is the spiritual journey. Now, Ramanujacharya came with Vishishta Advaita. He said Brahma Satyam, Jagadapi Satyam. But why not? It is real. World is real. We are experiencing it. It is part of my emotions. It is part of my existence. It is part of my sukha and dukkha. So ultimately, everybody is talking about removing sorrow, removing dukkha. So Vishishta Advaita says that first accept it as reality. Brahma Satyam, Jagadapi Satyam. So we'll delve deeper into what Ramanujacharya says. Madhvacharya says, what do you think? You are one as Brahman? No, there is a difference. Brahman is Brahman, you are you, and world is world. So there is a difference between Brahman, Jagat, and Atman. So he talks about different kinds of differences, Veda. And he's a dualistic Vedanti. Vedanti because he believes in Brahman. Okay, so all are Vedanti, but they have their different perspectives. So these are the different six schools. Now coming back to another three darshan, that is the Charvak darshan. Charvak darshan is materialism of Hindu philosophy. It is an empiricistic philosophy. It talks about realism. The world is as it is. Experience it through your sense organs. Follow the rules of the system, that is the king. So whatever the atheists are talking today, it is similar on the similar line. So we will explore Charvak Darshan. It is also very interesting. And for the simple reason that when we study Charvak, we realize that most of us, most of the time are Charvaks. And the whole journey begins from Charvak to Vedanta. It's a journey. So we'll understand what Charvak darshan is. And then Jainism. Jainism is also a very beautiful and an ancient darshan. And it talks about relativity of knowledge through its concept of Syadavad and Anekantavad. So it believes that reality is multifaceted. And when we talk something about it, the judgment that we make is also about one aspect. So, the very common story of the six blind men and the elephant. Each one of them goes to see the elephant, but they are blind. They cannot see it as a whole. So, they will touch one part of the elephant and say, reality is like this. Other one will say, reality is like a rope. Somebody will say, reality is like a wall. Somebody will say, reality is like a pillar. Jainism says that reality is not just what we experience and perceive, it is multifaceted. A very beautiful discussion in Jainism also. And of course, they have their own strong ethics also revolving around the concept of ahimsa. Buddhism also is very interesting, as you all know. It is a huge darshan, and Gautam Buddha initially, as you know his story, he also wanted to find that why there is so much of dukkha in this world, and then can this dukkha be removed? And so he has his eightfold path of removal of dukkha. And then metaphysics of Buddhism was later developed after 200 years or so by scholars like Nagarjuna. So we will see what are their arguments. How do they understand existence, reality, whether it is in similarity with what Upanishad said, or the Shunyavad of Nagarjuna, is it something different? So that also becomes a very interesting discussion in the class. So this is in nutshell what we will be discussing in our course, uh, Introduction to Shad Darshanas. And yes, so this is from my side. I'm open to questions. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. Yes, one more thing. So this course will be happening for 11 weeks, and we have 90 minutes class. Sometimes it exceeds its time, but it is more of my presentation and the questions which come from the students. So we will be taking 9 schools of Hindu philosophy in 11 weeks. You don't need to be a Sanskrit scholar because the focus is mainly on the philosophical concepts. So you will get a very strong foundation of philosophical concepts, and then you can choose if you want to study something further in further details. HUA has courses to cater to that requirement also. So I welcome you all to this course and the discussions that we would be having. Yeah, thank you.
Wow, wonderful. What a beautiful overview and so much information in a very concise presentation. Very amazing in how you outlined it. I'm sure people are looking forward to the course. I'll put the details in the chat. Let's take your questions now. So if yes, the recording will be made available to everyone who wants it, no problem. Anupji, I'm sorry that the audio wasn't great for you, but I think it was okay. So CBSG, is that CBS Patelji? Yeah, so Kalika ji went through if Sanskrit is necessary, helpful, but not necessary. I think, again, in the learning management system, week by week, readings and all the details will be there, including vocabulary. So it'll walk you through the philosophies. Lucy is asking, what is the relation of the four Vedas to the six darshanas? I think you answered it, but maybe you can just review that a little bit.
Okay. Okay, Lucy, welcome to the webinar. Uh, all the six darshanas, they have structured the different philosophical views of the Upanishads. So Upanishads, you will be having the roots of these thoughts, and in the Shad Darshanas, they are philosophically structured with different arguments and statements. It comes with a structure of metaphysics, epistemology, and ethics. So metaphysics speaks about creation, existence, Ishvara, God. Epistemology talks about knowledge, sources of knowledge. How do we understand? How do we understand reality? And then ethics is about morality. Why should we practice morality? What is morality? So all this is very structured in Shad Darshan.
Nice. Any Bob is asking the prerequisite studies or readings suggested for effective application of this course.
So once you join the course, we would be suggesting few books, textbooks for reading. While you are part of the course, you will be getting my slides, and the recordings will be always available to you to go back and forth and understand the concepts.
Ryan, I think you're asking a similar question. I don't know if are any books necessary to purchase for the course or just
Yes,
kind of suggested.
one
Yeah.
book. Yes, we will be giving on our LMS. We will be giving you the list of books,
Mm.
and we will give you options. You out of that, one or two you can purchase.
Very good. Let me just end the poll that I had and share. We have 15 first timers, quite a few regulars, 16 of you, 35 people have attended a webinar before. 20 have taken at least one HUA course, five in the program, in a program. The 24 of you considering, please do consider taking this course or starting next week. And for those of you not interested in courses, just glad to have you on the webinar, and hopefully you are a friend of HUA and support HUA in whichever way is best for you. William, is that Fairchild? William is asking, no, William Cullinan is asking, does the course have exams or papers? What about lifelong learner who does not need credit?
If you don't need credit, that is fine. But there is an essay which has to be written after the course. So if you want credit, then you can write that essay, and that is the exam. So John Palkaji is here today, and I'm so glad he's here. Welcome, Palkaji. So if you're willing to speak a couple of words, because he's been part of this course and also the Upanishads, he's a neuroscientist, um, amazing person.
Well, this amazing person is Kalika. You know, she's this fantastic teacher, and I took her course on the Upanishads, and it was a real eye opener, and has contributed a great deal to my ability um, to use the thinking of Hinduism, and also to have conversations. It seems strange for a Westerner, but to have conversations that introduce Hindu concepts into other frameworks, into non-Hindu frameworks, notably Christianity. And I have been just so pleased that the course enabled me to do this in a way that prompts uh, every person I've ever talked to to take in those ideas, not to put up any walls, but to embrace them as sources of insight. So I'm just very grateful.
Thank you, Palkaji, for your encouraging words. He's phenomenal. Okay, so he's very inspiring because um, l- how one should learn things is something to be learned from him. So even I have learned a lot while he being in the class. So that was a beautiful experience. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, John, for joining us. Yeah, Kamlesh Ji is saying excellent expose, but I'm not going to read the whole thing, but he's getting into the non-translatables, right? God is one word that doesn't have a corresponding word in Sanskrit. And he goes on about soul is not correspond to Atman, and Dharma cannot be mapped on biblical terminology.
Of
So
course, of
I
course.
agree.
Yes,
But Kalikaji, do you want to maybe
yes.
discuss it? And then somebody else is asking, kind of correlates with this. Who's this? Uh, will you discuss any intersections of the darshanas with Western philosophy? And that's a question from Dave. So maybe those two you can take together.
Okay. The first comment, I agree with you completely. There are no parallel translations for Ishvara. There is no parallel translation for Dharma. And not just me, but whole of HUA does not believe in any kind of such translations. In fact, the purpose of Hindu University of America is to decolonize the whole academic scenario and start using the words. But what happens is we are in a period of transition. So there are new people coming in with lesser backgrounds and all these things. So we are using both the terminologies, but once you come to the class, all these concepts are pretty clear, and we will not follow the colonial academic things those you will be seeing in the philosophical books. Even if we assign some books, we say that take the content, but don't go to the Aryan theory, don't go to the specific English translations. Automatically it's a process, and then now these things becomes clear. So thanks for bringing that point. Ankuji, what was the second question? Sorry, you're mute.
Just the intersection with Western philosophy.
Okay, so yes, I would be referring to those, but we don't have so much of time to have a discussion having the parallel concepts. But wherever I see there are connections, I would be mentioning in the class.
Yeah, it already seems like a packed class, right? Each session, you're getting into a whole darshana, kind of as deep as you can in one, I think, 90-minute session. I'm dropping the details of the course in the chat again. It's going to be on Friday evenings, Friday nights, 9 p.m. Eastern. It's going to start April 25th. So Setuji, hopefully this schedule works for you, and maybe you can take it. So I shared those results. Let me get the next poll up. If you're interested in the course, just let us know, and it'll allow us to follow up with you. I got a second program question there. Sorry about that for Ayurveda in the last poll. Sorry about that. But just that first question about the course. And now KK is asking, is Jiva the same as Purusha of Sankhya?
So in Sankhya Darshana, there are many Purushas, and in the Vedanta, we say Jiva are many. So yeah, apparently you would say they are similar, but the concept of Purusha in Sankhya Darshan is not limited as the concept of Jiva in the Vedanta. So there are also certain different aspects to it. So that's a bigger discussion. So I would welcome you to the class, and then we can have these discussions going on. So parallelly. But that's a nice question. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Anand G is asking, is Tantra not considered part of Shad Darshanas, and why?
Okay. So these are basically philosophical schools. Okay. Tantra comes into application, and therefore it is not considered as a part of darshana. But yes, that is a separate segment to study separately. I think we would have to have another course for that, because tantra has its own implications, good and bad, and it is a tantra basically means technique. Technique is about application, so it has its own importance in the spiritual world, but there are different perspectives and thoughts about it. See, we have only 11 weeks, okay, and we are already considering 9 schools of Hindu philosophy. So it really is a packed, as Ankurji said, it is full of content. So I don't want you to just come and have a general brief understanding, which you would anyways get over the internet. But there has to be discussion and proper understanding of concepts. So we devote some good time to that. And we want to justify e-school properly. So for now, this is the structure and this is the content. But yes, eventually, we are coming up with different courses in future also. We have many in the HUA basket. So you can visit our website and go through the different courses that our amazing faculty is providing. So something you will find of that interest also. But I would say Shad Darshana is a good beginning. It's a start of the journey.
Sri Lakshmi Ji and then Ryan have kind of similar questions. Actually, not similar, but let me take Sri Lakshmi first. Apart from, and this is the general one, apart from learning philosophy, what are the main benefits of darshanas?
Apart from learning philosophy?
Yeah. What are the benefits of darshanas?
That's interesting. Okay, so you want me to keep the whole philosophy aspect aside, and then if you want to say, suggest somebody that study Indian schools of philosophy, what is the benefit? I would say that will make us more intelligent. That will make us more proud. And that will give us a very strong identity as a part of this civilization. So, because it is rigorous, it is creative, it will polish all aspects of intelligence.
Nice. And then Ryan's kind of question dovetails on that, a little bit different. Is it overtly religiously Hindu standpoint, or do you take more of a detached approach? And then he's asking if an individual acquire forms of good karma that might help them attain the ability to live a more sattvic lifestyle and develop a form of sadhana for themselves. So I think again it gets into the application and the practice of it.
Okay. Let me answer this briefly. So, does this course overtly religious Hindu standpoint? Okay. Now, this statement itself has some preconceptions. So, what is overtly religiously Hindu standpoint? This is very relative to each individual. Now, for me as a course coordinator or a teacher, I would say that I follow a very academic approach. So when I'm teaching Charvak, students ask me, do you believe only in Charvak? So I say no. Now I'm talking about Charvak Darshan. When I'm teaching Jainism, it may appear that I am a Jain and I am talking about Jainism. So this is like being a lawyer, when you're talking about something, you are talking about that particular perspective. Nonetheless, it is not about defending or opposing. It is about assimilating. So this is going to be purely academic perspective, logical perspective. So if you want, see, in typical, just that sentence which you mentioned earlier, um, will call for a different kind of discussion. And that kind of discussion happens when you don't have knowledge or when you don't have inclination to know things openly. The fundamental structure of Shad Darshana is being undogmatic, having no biases, just a quest to reality. So that is the perspective when we teach this course. There was something else also, Ankurji?
Just the application of it in daily lifestyle, kind of sattvic lifestyle will of course help develop a form or be a form of sadhana for themselves.
Yes, of course it will help. Because when we talk about Yoga Darshana, when we talk about Vedanta, when we talk about Sankhya, concept of Triguna, Sattva, Rajas, Tama. So, see, my very reason why I am a student of philosophy is because I always want to see its application. And its application comes into our day-to-day life. Our day-to-day life is concerned about our actions. Our actions are concerned about our choices. And why do I make certain kind of choice and why I don't make it? Takes me to the philosophy of how I understand myself and the world. See, all this is so well connected. So this 9 darshanas is discussion about this.
Very nice. Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking. And me myself, thinking about things, giving it justification, understanding it, all of that makes applying in your daily life easier. It justifies it. It creates the whole framework, as we're talking about, for a civilization and the way to live your life. So Rituji is asking, will we be spending more time on any particular darshana? I'm more inclined to know Advaita philosophy. Will this increase by understanding of Advaita? Okay, so we do have other courses which will specifically deal with the 3 forms of Vedanta. So that course is also there. We also have 2 courses, that is Introduction to Upanishads, which I take. There we talk extensively about Vedanta. Coming to Shad Darshana course, how it helps is
See, we have had a tradition of Purva Paksha and Uttar Paksha. So Purva Paksha is, it starts with materialism. Now, supposing there is a Charvak scholar and there is a Nyaya scholar, how will they debate? How will they talk about their philosophy? How will they defend their arguments? So this is all a dialogue between different schools. So how will Sankhya Darshan defend itself against Charvak Darshan? This way, when you have to talk about Vedanta to a, imagine you're talking about Vedanta to any teenager, then what kind of dialogue will it start? The teenager will say, I don't believe in God. Can I see it? I don't see it. I don't believe in Ishvara. I don't believe in Brahman. Then now you have to tell that child what is Vedanta, what is Brahman, what is Atman. So there are a set of arguments that the younger generation will have, and there are certain arguments that Vedanta will have. So how to have this dialogue? That will need a prerequisite understanding of all these darshanas. And then when we talk about this to the teenagers, they know that the other person is not just telling me, believe in Hinduism because you are born Hindu. The child knows now we are talking something academic, something logical, something scientific. So that way, studying all these darshanas once, at least once in life, really helps. And later on, of course, you can choose, whichever school you identify more with, you can continue with the study. Yes, there is some comment over here. Avinash Kumarji is saying Sankhya believes in plurality of sense. Yes, of course. That's what I said, that it believes in many Purushas, that is plurality. Then he says that it can't be said to be Hindu philosophy. You can call them Indian philosophy. Yes, we can call them Indian philosophy as it is taught in Bharat. I have done my bachelor's, master's, and PhD from Pune University, and there it was called as Indian philosophy. But frankly, when I say that it is Hindu philosophy, Nyaya, Sankhya, Veda, Purva Mimamsa, Uttar Mimamsa was not taught in Jainism. Sorry, it was not taught in the Christianity model. It was not taught in the other religions. So why not be little more bold enough to say that yes, it is part of Hindu religion. It is not limited to Hindu religion. It is not limited to Sanatan Dharma. It has its global application. So we don't want to restrict it to that. But if you say that it belongs, the source, if we acknowledge that source, I mean, it is a time now that we start acknowledging things. Okay.
Well done. So let me drop the details of the course one more time. It's a $200 course. You can register right through that link. Starts April 25th on Friday, 9 p.m. Eastern. We still have the poll up. About half of the folks have filled out the poll. Let us know if you're interested in enrolling in the course. That is very helpful to us. We are nearing the end of our webinar. I think we've got to most of our questions. CBSG mentioned you will provide counseling therapy. Do you use Shad Darshan knowledge in that?
Yes. I'm a counselor for almost past more than 25 years now. So initially I completed my PhD in philosophy, but then I thought I need to have understanding of psychotherapies and counseling also. And since then I have been counseling, taking workshops for different age groups. I do counseling also. So I'm also a practicing naturopath, and I am a neuro-linguistic programmer also. So what I try is, what was my experience is counseling only through Western lens is not sufficient. There are so many questions which remain unanswered. Why me is a continuous question that everybody has when we go through agony. Why me? And I feel that Indian philosophy answers this question very well. So we go to the understanding of karma, Atman, Brahman, everything. So when I do counseling, I try to bring in all these concepts. It really helps very well.
Wonderful. Okay, folks. I know we can get picky about the details, and sorry, Kamleshi, I did address your question earlier, and Kalika ji responded, and we had a whole conversation on non-translatables. Maybe you can get the recording and catch that part. But we are nearing the end of our webinar for today. During the course, Kalika ji answers your questions, and as she said, it is part of that interactive aspect where you could go to YouTube, you could read about it, but actually engaging with somebody like Kalika ji who knows all this stuff, can summarize it, but then also engage and make it practical, apply it to your daily life. That is what makes Hindu University of America different. And hopefully you will choose to enroll in this course or one of the other courses that may pique your interest in a particular subject. We continue to have these webinars, and it is always my pleasure to have Dr. Kalika Uttarkar on our webinar. She's an amazing individual, a human being, and a faculty member whose students love her courses. So if you haven't had the privilege of taking one of her courses yet, please do consider this next week. Her class will start on the Shad Darshanas. All right. With that, that is it for me. Thank you, everyone. My pleasure to be on and hosting. Kalika ji, let me hand it to you for closing thoughts.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Ankurji. It is always very interesting, and I enjoy doing webinars along with you because you have that amazing energy and passion that you bring into it. So thank you very much. Thank you to all the participants, and thank you for all those who have taken your efforts to bring in the comments. I'm reading through all of them. Avinash ji, you mentioned we should call it Sanatan Dharma. I absolutely agree with that. And looking forward to see you all in the course to come, and to have more interactions. So once this webinar is over, this will come on the YouTube of Hindu University of America. Feel free to share it with most of your friends and relatives and wherever you can. So in a way, you will be contributing and being part of the same cause that we are into, taking these thoughts to more and more people. So yes, looking forward to meet you all. Thank you very much. Namaste.